Hey everyone, uh, welcome to Tuesday. We're on our next day or next installment of If We Only Knew. It's here where we're on a journey to inspire and motivate and make changes to become better versions of ourselves. So if you're watching this, please leave me a comment below. Let me know that you were here. Or if you're coming up on or and watching it later, put hashtag replay in the comments so I know you dropped by and watched it later. What's going on, Nunu? How you doing, buddy? Today I want to continue with the topic, of my keys to financial literacy. Yesterday, we talked about making a budget and how to follow a budget and just some common ideas and thoughts on that to help us manage our monies a little bit better. Today, we're going to talk about banking institutions. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give my little statement here. I am not a financial planner by any means. I am not a professional. I am merely trying to give value to people who may not know about some of these things that are going on. So I really want to be able to just try to give value. So let me say that right up front. But anyway, today I want to continue the discussion. And I believe it's important that we talk about banking institutions and the role they play in our lives to help us manage our monies. So to start from the beginning, just a tad, we need to understand that being financially literate is knowing how to manage your money. It's knowing how to pay your bills and how to borrow and save money responsibly, and how to invest or maybe plan for investing or planning for retirement. With so many people, I think the quote is 76% of the American population living paycheck to paycheck. I think it's important that we all have the basics or a good grasp on the basics of this. So, which is why I just wanted to kind of share. So, if I come across something that I misquote or say something wrong, please let me know and we'll correct it. If you know something about it, or if you can add value to this, by all means, please do. Please do. But I ask it, if you get the value out of it, share this with others so that we can all gain some knowledge from some of this. So, like I said again, we covered budgeting yesterday and what we need to do with budgeting. But now that we have that budget in place, or we need to put that money somewhere to help us keep it safe. So today we're gonna just discuss the importance of using banks and credit unions. And first of all, it's probably fair to start with what is the difference between between a bank and a credit union. Well, a bank is a business, and a business like any other is run for profit, and they have to answer to investors. That means, the activities that bank engages in is expected to show a profit. There's definitely a balance between customer care and profit in those banks. Let's face it, the banks want your money, but you don't want the bank to have it. You want to have the best interest for your deposits, and the banks want to recoup that money any way they can, right? So often, at least when using banks, the customer pays the price in the end of that. Instead of the bank paying the price. Credit unions, even though they have the look and the feel of a bank, they are run really quite differently. Credit unions are not run for profit. These institutions or banking institutions are typically local in communities. They were developed, and I can't remember the date on it, but they were developed years ago anyway. The credit union business was developed for local communities or groups of people, albeit farmers or steel workers or whatever the case was. They were developed for that, for people to bank together. And these institutions are much like a cooperative effort, if you will. When you deposit your money, you're actually buying shares of that company, and any profits that are made are passed on to members, typically through better interest rates on loans and savings. That's why we hear you'll hear a lot of people talking about they're getting better loan rates and everything else using credit unions when they're purchasing homes or cars or anything along that line. So really, what should you choose? Well, it really depends on the kind of service you're looking for. With banks, you're likely to pay higher banking fees, but have convenience in getting your money just about anywhere and quickly. With credit unions, you're going to get better rates, but you lose that convenience because they're typically local institutions, right? So they've got fewer branches available for you to go and visit. They have less ATMs, or ATMs are only in specific areas. So if you're doing any kind of traveling, you're typically having to use somebody else's ATM machines. So that can cost you more in fees associated with using a credit union. But let's face it, either one, you just have to, there's things to consider or look at when you're choosing. But let's face it, we don't live in the 1800s anymore, so using a bank account or I should say a bank or a credit union provides the safety we need for our money. So some of the things that you probably need to consider, though, when you're trying to decide on a banking institution, and now when I say banking institution, I'm talking about a credit union or a bank itself. The number one thing I'm going to look for when I'm choosing an institution is I got to make sure they're federally insured. I often thought, I had thought in the past that that FDIC rating that you'll see banks have is not a requirement. Banks often do that, and you'll see the big chain banks that are out there are FDIC insured, and they do that. I think more out of because most everybody else is doing it now. But what that does is help guarantee that you got, I think it's $250,000 of insurance that the government will pay that if something happens to that bank. So one, that's important to have. Two, you should be looking for a institution that has reasonable fees for the services they provide. Shop around, get an idea of the kind of services they provide and what they cost, and do some I can't. Oh, no, that's the first time that's happened to me. Sometimes do some comparison shopping, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So anyway, check it out. Make sure they have good customer service. You'll want to make sure that you could ask friends, ask people, ask around and find out those that have it. I think that's very important. Make sure they have good online banking. I think online banking is going to come to a point in in my life or my children's lives, it's going to become very, very important. I think it's going to grow, and I think the banking institutions as a whole, as going to visit a bank is going to slowly go away. So it's just my thoughts on it anyway. Make sure they have good low rate options, stuff like that. Good high yield options on different accounts, that kind of thing. Find out what other services they have, like business accounts, retirement accounts, or whatever. Look, we're all different, so we want to make sure that it fits us, right? So I think that's important. But banks have many services, so find out what they have, what works best for you, and typically for most of us, and for those who may not have been using any type of banking services, basic checking accounts, basic savings accounts, with the options of using debit cards are good for most people. Any entry-level type of banking services like that is going to be good for most. There are some advanced ideas on how to make money work better for you, but that's not a part of today's discussion. We'll do that at another point. The idea here is to help you manage your money and have the convenience of writing checks or using debit cards, whatever, to pay for services throughout the month. It's all about trying to make it easier for us to manage, so we can manage that monthly budget, and the banks will help you do that. So I know this doesn't cover everything, but understand these are what I just believe need to be done just to help keep you on the right track, to help you better manage your money throughout the month. So That's all I have today. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Dave Ramsey. He had a really good quote when he said, "Living on less." I'm going to remember it. Living on less than you make is a matter of controlling yourself, not a matter of math. I thought that was a very good quote. So anyway, that's all I'm going to cover today. Join me tomorrow when we'll continue with the discussion. We'll actually start talking about how to better manage credit, and we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But for now, thanks guys. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.